Hey folks, welcome into the Thinking Crypto podcast, your home for cryptocurrency news and interviews. I'm your host, Tony Edward. On your way in, please hit that subscribe button as well as the thumbs up button and leave a comment below. If you're listening on a podcast platform such as Spotify or Apple, please be sure to follow and leave a 5-star rating. All right, folks, we got to start with the Clarity Act because time is running out, but we continue to see more folks are endorsing this bill. Here today, we had the former CEO of UK's second largest bank, which is Barclays. He called on all of Wall Street to support the Clarity Act. He says, I think we are very close to passing it. We are working towards a successful Clarity Act. And he talked about how the bill would unlock innovation, which would be very, very good. So majority of Wall Street's on board. It's just Jamie Dimon and some of these banks, the smaller ones, the credit unions and community banks are the only ones that are fighting it with regards to stablecoin yield. But make no mistake about it, they all want, even Jamie Dimon and JP Morgan, for the bill to pass where they get that legislative clarity and they can start building more. They are already piloting and testing the waters a bit, but they can't go full production and pushing it out to the masses yet because they need that regulatory clarity. The only thing, as we've talked about, is the stablecoin yield, which they're trying to get it more on, even though they did get a compromise in the Senate Banking Committee. But I don't think that's going to be a major issue. I actually interviewed Cody Carbone of the Digital Chamber today. I'll be publishing that interview tomorrow morning. We talked about it. He doesn't anticipate that the banks are going to get more and that they're going to be able to put up any more roadblocks because they already got a compromise. However, the ethics issue is the big one. And Elizabeth Warren is on the attack. I mean, she's putting out a lot of propaganda, her and her cronies. Here, Anthony Scaramucci said the following: Senator Tillis and Gallego have worked out a very strong bipartisan ethics provision. If the President of the United States ultimately signs off, which I think he will, who will stand in the way of clarity? If the Democrats or the GOPs who are in the pocket of the bank lobby stand in the way, they will regret it in November. Now, I've been talking about this. Crypto's ready to deploy the war chest. So if it's Democrats or Republicans who stand in the way, they're going to feel it in the elections. And remember what happened in 2024. Now, I know it's a little bit different because people are not just voting towards crypto, they're voting for the economy and much more, everything that's going on. But still, this money is going to be used in many different ways. And it did not work well for the folks who are anti-crypto, especially the Democrats back in 2024. But if they want to follow Elizabeth Warren off the cliff again, just like they did in 2024, go ahead. They're going to get their butts handed to them come the elections once again. As Anthony Scaramucci highlighted here, that updated draft is sitting in the White House. So President Trump and his administration are reviewing it. And our hope is that he can sign off on it and the compromise. And come Monday, they can say, hey, this bill is ready to go. It can get voted on next week. Now, in my interview with Cody Carbone today, he did say we don't have enough time for this to go to the House. So even if we get it out the Senate, folks, that will be a major win. So there are quite a few hurdles within the Senate. So hopefully they can fast track it. But if we get the major votes in the Senate, that will be very good. And he said potentially the House can vote on it in September when they come back and get it done quickly. And I don't anticipate the House is going to be a big deal because remember, they passed a version of this in the House last year, right? With over 10 Democrats supporting it. So time is of the essence here. And let's hope the Senate can make some progress next week. Let's hope the president signs off on this ethics compromise and we can get it done because Warren and many of her cronies are fighting really, really hard. And I love that Senator Cynthia Lummis is taking the gloves off. She started calling out Elizabeth Warren on X. Here's what she nicknamed her: Big Bank Beth, and tagged her. She says, Big Bank Beth hates President Trump so much that she'd rather have no rules of the road for the digital asset industry, leaving consumers vulnerable and law enforcement empty-handed than take the win for consumers. So this is the same strategy they used when she was in power under Biden with Gary Gensler. No rules, no guidance, just let it all burn, right? Crash and burn. That's why you had FTX happen, Celsius, and much more. If the SEC was actually putting forward guidance, working with the other agencies, Remember, Gensler was always saying, "Oh, the rules are already there. We don't need to do anything," and blah blah blah, right? But he could have done it, but he didn't want to. He was under Elizabeth Warren's marching orders. So same thing. Warren's, don't let this happen. Let's let the industry continue to crash and burn, right? And then she's trying to say, oh, Trump is going to profit off of it, which is ridiculous because you're putting legislation in place to protect consumers, and it includes ethics to stop any sitting president or elected official from doing these things. So Elizabeth Warren is such a hypocrite. And actually, Lummis calls it out. She says, let's get the facts straight here. Number one, she claims, talking about Elizabeth Warren, the blind trust is a shell game. It's not. By law, and she names the law, a trustee is barred from disclosing trust holdings back to the official. That's not a loophole. It's literally what makes a blind trust blind. Read the law for yourself below. Number two, she claims the Trump meme coin proves the president could create new coins. But the Trump meme coin was launched when President Trump was a private citizen. The ethics ban applies to conduct while serving. You can't retroactively ban something that happened before the law or the presidency existed. That's how the law in the Soviet Union worked, not America. So again, the gloves coming off here. She's really calling out Elizabeth Warren. Number three, she acts like Trump's adult children running World Liberty Financial is some unprecedented dodge. It's not. Federal ethics law has never imputed financial interests from adult independent children, only spouses and minor children. That's not new to this bill. It's how conflict of interest law was worked for decades. The facts speak for themselves. Don't fall for Liz's lies. So, we've been talking about it. Elizabeth Warren completely lying, trying to make it all about Trump, when in fact the legislation would help curb any of that issue, the concerns that she has. But she's just lying, right? Because it's just a political attack and trying to sway people for the midterms. Now, Lummis also went on CNBC and called out the banks. She says JP Morgan and the big banks are trying to kill the Clarity Act because they simply cannot compete. Here's a quote. They view it as competition that will hurt their ability to sustain deposits. I disagree. They should embrace digital assets. Bitcoin will be the financial system of the future and a new financial landscape. They are about to go extinct. Wow. Now, again, I mentioned earlier, there was already a compromise on the stablecoin yield that was done in the Senate Banking Committee, which was partially brokered by a Democrat, Senator Angela also Brooks. So the banks are just full of it, right? They got a cookie and now they're asking for a glass of milk. They just want to keep pestering and trying to get as much as they can because they want to keep those big bonuses. They don't want to compete. Now, if you remember, I believe about a couple of months ago, I reported that the National Sheriff's Association, they were really coming out against the Clarity Act, and they were the only law enforcement agency to do that, because since then we've seen about 5 to 6 others, such as the Federal Law Enforcement Officers Association, the Fraternal Order of the Police, and many others, right? Just yesterday, we talked about the Major Cities Chiefs Association, all endorsing the Clarity Act. Well, the major county sheriffs recently had went neutral. They said, okay, we're not against it. We believe we can work something out here. Now they're completely, doing a 180, saying, no, we don't endorse it. This is a threat to public safety, all kinds of nonsense. So from the beginning, I said, somebody's pulling the strings here. There's some connection to either Elizabeth Warren or the banks, which one could argue is the same thing because Elizabeth Warren works for the banks. So somebody's pulling the string here for them to come out and say that, because that's such an asinine statement when the industry is not regulated at all. And you're trying to say, this is not a good bill. And it's like, wait, would you have rather nothing or something? So these guys are not making sense. But again, a lot of the public, they don't know these things, right? I don't expect the average Joe and Jane walking down the street to know this, but they may catch a headline, a tweet, something that Elizabeth Warren says on video, which is a flat out lie, but they wouldn't know better, right? So that's the game here. So Patrick Witt, executive director of crypto at the White House, says it's not clear why the National Sheriff's Association is so radically out of step with the broader law enforcement community. So this is very, very weird. Again, you have the majority of these law enforcement agencies saying, yeah, let's get this done, right? And no bill is perfect, but you got to start somewhere and you can iterate and add things over time. So someone is pulling the strings there. This smells fishy. And again, they had went from against it to neutral. Now they went back to against it. So again, the timing with what Elizabeth Warren is doing and much more, it kind of makes sense. All right, folks, moving ahead, Circle, the issuer of the USDC stablecoin, has been officially granted a trust charter by the New York Department of Financial Services. So huge win for them. So it lets them offer a fiduciary and custody services under New York banking law. Big win for Circle as the largest USD stablecoin issuer in the United States. We know Tether is the largest stablecoin company in the world, but Circle is the largest here in the United States. Obviously, they're public now, and they continue to expand and do some incredible things. So this is, again, why Jamie Dimon is shaking in his boots, because he's going to lose market share, because these native crypto firms are getting bank charters and licenses. And of course, Jamie doesn't want to compete. He wants to keep those big bonuses, right? And give you the breadcrumbs, 0.01% interest, while they pocket the majority of the interest they earn parking your funds at the Fed. So huge news here for Circle. Folks, quick word from our sponsor.
This episode is brought to you by FortisX. Guys, let's be honest, the crypto market has been moving sideways for a while now. A lot of people are just sitting on their coins, waiting for the next big move. But while you're waiting, your crypto is just sitting in your wallet doing absolutely nothing. That's why I want to mention one of my longtime partners, FortisX. Instead of just letting your assets sit idle, you can put supported cryptocurrencies into FortisX liquidity pools and earn daily rewards while still keeping the flexibility to withdraw whenever you want. One of the reasons I've continued working with them is because they keep delivering. The team is public. They've successfully completed Cyberscope team verification, KYC, passed independent security audits, and the platform has been building consistently for years. They focus on long-term growth, transparency, and security rather than hype. In a market like this, it makes far more sense to have your crypto working for you instead of letting it sit idle in your wallet. I've worked with FortisX for a long time, and if you're planning to hold your crypto anyway, I genuinely think it's one of the smartest ways to put those assets to work. And folks, I know security is very important to all of us as we hold our crypto assets, and they are fully audited by CertiK, and they are SEC registered and much more. So you got to check out FortisX. Go to fortisx.fi/x/thinkingcrypto. Link will be in the description.
All right, guys, some not so good news I have to report, and this one really sucks because it's a hack of self-custody. So I don't know how many of you who watch or listen to this podcast use Coldcard. I personally never heard of them, honestly. I've used Trezor. I've used Ledger. As far as hardware wallets, I currently use Trezor. And I really feel bad for the people who got their money stolen. So apparently $40 million worth of Bitcoin was stolen after 500 Coldcard hardware wallets were hacked. So this is not good. And the folks at Galaxy Research are saying it could grow up to $70 million. So it was specifically around Bitcoin. The firm said nearly 1,200 addresses were drained of more than 1,000 Bitcoin, worth $70 million in transaction it linked to a vulnerability affecting Coldcard hardware wallets. So guys, be careful out there. Again, I've never heard of Coldcard. I missed it somehow, but I know the larger hardware wallet companies were Ledger and Trezor, which are big companies, well known, have more resources, larger teams, and they do ongoing security updates. And look, I can't say that any hardware device is 100% foolproof, but at least you want to go with companies that are well known. Again, they have public disclosure, public accountability, and all these things. But this really sucks. And look, I can imagine the TradFi folks are going to come out and say, come with us, come via our ETFs and our products. We have the proper custodians, we have the proper security, we have insurance. And, I've often stated that the majority of the mainstream people will go that direction because seed phrase management and these things are very difficult for them. It's very intimidating. Now, crypto obviously gives the ability for you to be your own bank and to own your private keys. And I personally do that. But I would count myself as someone who's tech savvy, who has gone through the ups and downs, who is living and breathing technology and crypto. So I'm up to date with all the things that could potentially happen, and I know how to move my funds, and I have multiple layers of securities and these things. While, an average person who's like, okay, I'm going to use this hardware wallet, put my stuff away, put my keys here and there, and they may, leave it and forget about it. And then all of a sudden their funds are gone. That could be really bad. But this is where we're kind of in the dial-up phase of DeFi and self-custody. We have to get to that broadband phase, and where the user experience is more easier, and maybe AI can be leveraged to help monitor all these things and to add an extra security layer. There's been talks of different crypto companies doing vaults, splitting up the private keys. So even if one key is compromised, the hacker can't move the funds without the other two. I think that's probably a model that's going to work better over time versus you individually controlling the private keys. I don't know. Again, I control my private keys 100%, and that has worked for me. And again, I use Trezor, I've used Ledger, large companies who have been doing this for a long time. So just be careful out there, folks, especially with a smaller firm, a smaller wallet firm. I'm not trying to say that they can't be good and there's not possibility for them to protect your funds. It's just they may be more at risk because they may not have all the resources and the know-how and things like that. And this really sucks. But I think TradFi is going to come in and use this as an opportunity. But with that said, the other firms like Bitkey, Ledger, Trezor, Jade, and other Bitcoin hardware wallets reported they were unaffected by this vulnerability. So just something you should be aware of, folks. Okay, final news item. Uniswap launches Earn with Morpho to let users earn yield on idle crypto assets. So this is great. Obviously, the sponsor of this podcast, FortisX, is offering the same thing. And I'm a user of FortisX, and they're SEC regulated and they're audited as well. So Uniswap, which is a decentralized exchange, has teamed up with Morpho to launch Earn, a new lending product that lets users earn yield on idle crypto assets directly within the Uniswap app. The product uses 3 gauntlet curated Morpho vaults and allows users to deposit and withdraw instantly while keeping full custody of their assets, Uniswap said. So this is really great. And the ability to put your assets to work and earn yield is huge. That is one of the strategies I use in the bear market. So I'll take my proof of stake tokens, of course, lock more of them up to earn the passive yield, ETH, Solana, others as well. And then there's some stablecoin yield programs that I'll put more money towards. And while the prices of the assets themselves are going down in a bear market, not excluding stablecoins, of course, you can still earn those passive rewards and grow your portfolio holdings around those assets. You can even cash it out if you want. I personally don't cash it out. I just let it sit there because I'm, looking to make as much as I can in the next bull market. So these are things you want to explore. Obviously, do your research. Obviously, make sure it's a trusted platform. For example, I do use some exchanges for the stablecoin yield stuff like Coinbase and Uphold, and those are obviously very well known. They have insurance and all these things in place. So you want to do your research, before you lock up your tokens. And maybe you just put some of your tokens, not all. So let's say you want to stake some ETH, right? You may have some ETH in long term and you keep that in a hardware wallet and you put a little bit on the exchanges, lock it up for staking. So that's earning. And if anything ever happens, you're not losing all your ETH, right? Just as an example. So something to think about. Folks, that's the news. Let me know what you think. Leave your thoughts and comments below. Hit the thumbs up button. Subscribe if you haven't as yet. Once again, tomorrow morning, I'll be publishing my interview with Cody Carbone, the latest Clarity Act timeline that guys you need to know about. I think you really want to watch it because it's a realistic timeline, and it's actually probably going to be a little bit disappointing for some of you. But overall, it's not the end of the world. It's still things that are going to happen in 2026, but time is running out. But anyway, you guys are going to get all the details tomorrow, so make sure you're subscribed with the notification bell turned on. Be sure to subscribe to my free email newsletter. It's on Substack. Check out my book on Amazon. It's available in paperback and digital. Grab a copy. And if you want to expand your knowledge around crypto, check out my course at mycryptocourse.com. All the links will be in the description. Folks, thank you so much for tuning in. I appreciate you all, and I'll talk to you all later.